This is Greg Pasternak from River Science Life, and this is Get Up and Go Part 1, The Secret to Motivation. Now, I have a lot of students who come to me and they are concerned because they're struggling with their work, they're not motivated to do it, and they really want to see if I can give them some advice or help that will guide them to say, how can I get this done when I don't really feel like doing it? At the same time, I also am in a situation where I'm interviewing people, students for jobs, graduate students who want to come back to school, could be postdocs or even new faculty hires. And as a faculty committee, we're trying to figure out, is this somebody who's motivated to spend their whole career now and really work hard and be successful? So at the root of these questions is, what is motivation? How do you get it? Where do you get it? What is really the secret formula that makes motivation happen? Now, motivation is a really big topic on the internet. There's a lot of videos about it. There's whole books about it. And, really, I'm not a psychologist or that sort of professional. But I feel like I have been pretty successful in my life. And on the basis of my experience, I do have something to say about what I think you can use that will help you find motivation and what has really helped me to find my motivation. What's important is that I don't believe that people are just necessarily born with a whole lot of motivation, whatever that is. I think that motivation is something that you develop through the course of your life, and I think that gets done according to a formula. And I think that the formula is relatively simple, but then you have to act on it to develop that ability. And specifically, I think the formula for motivation is motivation equals ambition plus discipline. Ambition plus discipline equals motivation. Now let's work through this. Okay, let's start with ambition. What do I mean by ambition? Ambition is the desire to do something. If you don't desire anything in life, you might as well just lie in bed and spend your whole day just staring at the wall, I guess. But most of us do have some sort of desire or ambition. Yet, even that desire is not something that's just inherent. It's something that we actually practice, and the more we practice it, the better we're going to be at it. How do we practice building our ambition? Simple and fun, through daydreaming, through imagination, and fantasizing. Now let's start with a simple exercise. Imagine I had $1 million and I gave it to you right now. Take 5, 10, 30 minutes, pause. What would you do with that $1 million? But I'm not saying just go give me a list of what you would buy or activities you would do. Imagine the process of how you would take all of that money and play and have fun or do something great or maybe donate to a higher cause or whatever it is. The process is what I'm interested in. Now let's move on from the mythical $1 million to something more practical in your life. If you're a student, you have a homework assignment. If you're a graduate student, maybe you have your PhD research. What is that research? Or maybe you're trying to write an article. What I want you to do is work on your ambition by practicing daydreaming, fantasizing. Imagine the brightest star that you can imagine, what is the greatest success? Now, don't just fantasize about what success feels like. Fantasize about all the steps you would go through successfully to get there. If you're going through your daydreaming and suddenly you take a wrong turn and everything falls apart and you get into a really bad place, what you're thinking, simply rewind back to where you went off your rails and get the daydream right. Learn from that in your mind's eye and move forward and play through it again successfully. This is how you build your ambition. You just daydream, you fantasize, you develop your vision for what you want to accomplish, and that's how you grow your ambition. Without ambition, you're not going to have the motivation to get anywhere. Now let's turn to the second piece of motivation, and that is discipline. Discipline is the fortitude to actually do something. Okay, well now I've just pulled a fast one. I've just substituted the word fortitude for the word discipline. So how did that really help make this any better? Well, fortitude is just having it within you to get up and go. Do you have it within you to get up and go? Well, I know one thing. You're probably watching this video hopefully upright during the day, or at least you've pushed the on button while you're on your tablet in your bed. You've at least had the fortitude to do something to open your eyes and get up through your day. And so basically We all have basic fortitude to do something. But when it comes to something hard that we think we're going to resist, then it's going to take a little more effort to accomplish that. And that just takes practice. For example, imagine that you're weightlifting, okay? Yeah, you're working on your biceps, you're working on, your shoulder press or your lat pull downs, whatever it is, or you're running or you're cycling. You don't just go buy a bike and hit out for a 30-mile ride or something like that. You have to build up to it. And it's no different when it comes to science or academics. You've got to start simple and work up from there. Let me give you an example. When I was working on my PhD, I had the vision to do this research on this pretty large delta in Chesapeake Bay. When I went out there and looked around, it's just like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? It's huge. How can I go out there, just little me, little Greg, and do something on this place? And the answer is, there's no way I could do that. There's no way anyone could just come out and do it. It's like you're new to the whole thing. So what you do is you start and make something small. I found a really small piece of that wetland delta that was relatively contained. And I just went for it. And it took me about 4 or 5 months to just get that place wired. And by then, I figured out some really cool things. And then I was able to tinker and improve, and through that practice, make it better, and then expand to the whole delta. And really, this is what science is all about, and it's what life is all about, is like practice on the small. You put everything into it, keep challenging yourself until you get better and better, until you're really ready for the game day, like whatever is the full big thing that you want to accomplish. So that's the key with discipline. Now, both of the things that I've been talking about, ambition and discipline, I'm talking about the same kind of activity. That is, I'm talking about spending effort practicing to do that. And I'm talking about that in 2 ways. First, through visualization. That means to relax yourself, your mind and your body, like sit in a chair with your arms at your side, relax, think about it, let yourself, flow into your mind's eye. And then within your mind's eye, imagine what it would be like to carrying out that activity, whether it's the daydreaming and visioning side of ambition, or whether it's just the nitty-gritty physical activity of the discipline of getting something done. Visualization is a key exercise, and it doesn't matter whether you're training for the Olympics, you want to write a journal article, you're doing a science project, like whatever it is, you can use visualization. And if you take the time to look up visualization on the internet, you'll see lots of resources there. It's really a powerful tool that many people use to help them accomplish their goals in life. But still, I know what you're saying now. You're like, oh, Greg, this all sounds good. But you're telling me to do stuff. And after all, if I had the motivation to do stuff, I'd just do the thing I want to do. Why would I bother with all this visualization and daydreaming and stuff? I'd just go for it. Well, here's how I like to think about this, okay? Imagine that you have a bank. And inside that bank, you could take out a little bit of something that would get you to get up and go to do what you want to do. Well, we have a name for that something. It's called willpower. And research shows that every day when you wake up, you have a certain amount of willpower to spend during that day. Now, maybe that willpower can also grow over time. Maybe it will shrink over time, depending on things that are going on in your life. But you definitely have willpower to do things during the day. And so you want to spend that willpower on things that are the most meaningful to you. Don't just worry about getting up, brushing your teeth, doing your hair, and getting on, save the willpower for what's most important. And I would like to say that practicing your ambition, practicing discipline, the physical activity side of it, that's an important thing to spend some willpower on. And that means visualization, like, okay, I've got a homework. Spend a little time first visualizing yourself doing homework. And after a while, you'll be all set to go and get the homework done. So overall, the story here, the secret of motivation, it involves a lot of practice and willpower, but ultimately, you're directing those into growing your ambitions and building your discipline to have the get up and go. Now, this is just the part 1 video, because once you have motivation, you're not done. How do you use that motivation to achieve success in whatever it is you want to do? And in the part 2 video podcast here, we'll come back and look at the second part of the problem. But thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this video.